Hey, I'm Tyler Ramsey, and welcome to the Blues Kitchen.
Tyler Ramsey has just released his stunningly beautiful new album, For the Morning. Growing up in the mountains of North Carolina, Tyler soaked up a huge amount of country blues, folk and roots music. After many years as a key member of Band of Horses, Tyler has now focused all of his energies on writing and recording his finest album to date. We caught up in London to discuss the meditative quality of the new LP, building his own studio from scratch, and Tyler performs a version of the Titanic, inspired by Mance Lipscomb's 1964 recording. And while you're watching, like this video and subscribe to the channel for regular episodes of the Blues Kitchen Presents. Tyler,
Hey.
welcome to the Blues Kitchen.
Oh, thanks for having me here.
Congratulations, man. You're flying at the moment. Sold out show in London.
Yeah,
last night.
man, what a great time that was. It was just like a dream.
That's really nice to hear. You know, so many people have been making music as long as you have can sometimes end up being a little bit jaded, or it's like, oh, it's another show. But you've got up early this morning and still speaking so fondly about your show from last night.
Oh man, no, it couldn't have gone better, I don't think.
Your new album, I mean, For the Morning, is beautiful.
Thanks.
It's breathtakingly beautiful.
Thank you.
And I was texting a few people this morning saying this has got to be a contender for Album of the Year.
Oh wow.
It really is
Man.
spellbindingly beautiful. And upon first listen, it doesn't sound to me like the kind of album that you could have made in a city at all. It sounds like you've absorbed your surroundings. You live in North Carolina.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've absorbed your kind of mountain home. And
Yeah.
Is the album a reflection of that, perhaps?
It is. It's a lot of images and a lot of feeling from kind of the mountains where I live. I had part of my growing up was in Tennessee too, so there's a lot of Tennessee in there.
Were you in the
but
mountains in Tennessee?
No, I was in like outside of Nashville, and like I lived in Memphis when I was or outside of Memphis and Jackson when I was a little kid too.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of things from that area. Mostly like the mountains in western North Carolina, and I spend a lot of time. I do a lot of hiking and spend a lot of time with my dog just out in the woods there. So
Well, that's your album cover shows it so beautifully as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the album cover is stunning. And I wanted to ask you that. I was maybe going to ask you in a while, but is that kind of your average day? You know, even while you're recording, you get out with your dog, go for a walk in the mountains, come back, sit down with your guitar, and away you go?
I do. I try and do that. Recording-wise, like I'm usually like in the studio focused on it when it comes time to actually documenting the songs. But for writing and stuff, it's been a good exercise to like, if I do get stuck, just go for a walk in the woods. It's kind of a meditation for me in a way. I mean, not even kind of, it actually is fully a meditation, as is kind of playing guitar. But I can kind of like work through ideas just walking down a trail. You just kind of clear your mind, and things that you've been stuck on can be unstuck.
I didn't realize that you lived around Memphis and Nashville when you were young, but I mean, our viewers are going to see in a short while you're going to do an old country blues tune. What age were you when that kind of music started to filter into your life?
I was at probably like my early 20s, really. I listened to it a little bit, maybe in high school. And I got into fingerstyle guitar like early on in high school. But that was more listening to people like Leo Kottke, and even Michael Hedges was a big influence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, and things like that, like composing on the guitar and trying to do instrumental compositions was something that I got into really early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard like country blues, like Mississippi John Hurt, Reverend Gary Davis, and people like that, Mance Lipscomb, and just fell in love with those song forms and the simple melodies, and just like the intention of the music and everything was just hit me. And it was such a cool, just having that bass line and the melody line going on at the same time, if you're playing with your fingers, just grabbed me. And I wanted to I didn't want to try and be that, but I wanted to learn from that and apply it to what eventually I was going to do on the guitar.
Maybe we can come back to the whole country blues stuff in a bit, because we are here to talk about your record, and I feel that we could probably end up speaking for like 3 hours.
We could talk a lot about
stuff. But your album, you produced this one yourself this time. Have you got your own studio and your own setup?
I have kind of a setup. I've actually built a place. I moved out to the country about 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and 2 years ago I built the first ever building that I've ever built. Was like the
Really?
studio. Yeah, a friend of mine who is Jeremy Boger, who's like a contractor and an old friend of mine, was the skilled person, and I was the I was the helper. But we dug the footers and like built this really cool little kind of cabin studio out in the field on my property. So like so I have a place to like play music and do demos and stuff. But I've never been like really an engineer or like a studio nerd. So I don't necessarily do the final product in there. I just kind of like capture ideas, and then this record was done in Louisville, Kentucky at a studio called La La Land.
The songs on this album, you've done a really good job of making it sound, I think, listening from it from top to bottom, as if it were kind of, I don't know, maybe a few weeks worth of writing and work. But I was really surprised to find out that actually some of the tunes, like Dream of Home, second track on the record, you actually wrote during your time with Band of Horses, right? Were you in a hotel in Nashville during that time?
Yeah.
So it's kind of gobsmacking to me that these songs have been around for maybe 3-4 years, yet as a kind of piece of work, the album, it sounds like, I mean, I don't want to say concept album because that's not the case, but it really flows as one consistent piece of work. And I would encourage anyone to listen to it from top to bottom.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. It's strange that that song in particular, I do remember starting the lyrics in a hotel on a day off, and I think I learned the amount of touring we were doing back then with that band. I was always on the road, so like you don't have. Normally, I would write in like this kind of vacuum of like I've got 3 days to sit in a cabin by myself and like work on a song. But then when you're gone all the time, you have to start figuring out ways to keep ideas and to still be creative. So I would just try and capture what I could. So I had maybe a couple lines from that song that came from that hotel, and that was the spark, and then kept them around, and later on like rounded out the song and finished it. And it's wild how the record ended up seeming almost like a story, you know, like and it is in a way. It's like a story of maybe a few years period in my life.
Well, there's been a lot of change in that time as well, isn't there? Because obviously you've gone from being in a big touring band to being solo again, which in itself is quite strange because a lot of people might start in a band and then go solo.
Right.
But to have a solo career for so many years, then join a band and then leave again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a backwards way around of doing things.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
You also, I'm not saying that's a bad thing by any
I'm just
stretch.
kidding.
You also had your child in that time as well, which has got to be like the most life-changing experience anyone can go through.
Yeah.
And I've read in a few interviews that you've given, bits and pieces, that actually you're kind of tired of that life of being on the road with a big band, and maybe it wasn't what it was cracked up to be, and from what I gather and what we've been discussing, actually getting back to your roots quite literally and living in the mountains was the way to go.
It just turned out to not feel satisfying at some point. It just wasn't what I needed to be doing, and it wasn't, you know, having a daughter at home that was so young and like having to leave for something that maybe wasn't fulfilling was a difficult thing to do. That became one of the main driving factors. There were plenty of other ones, but you know, but that was the main one. And now I'm touring again, but it's something that my heart is in. You know, it's something that I'm fully invested in. You know, it's still difficult to leave home and leave my family for a couple weeks or a month or whatever. But now it's just like, oh, it feels like I'm at least doing the thing that feels right.
Maybe we could get back to the country blues stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Because you did an instrumental for us, which our viewers are going to see in a short while. It's Mance Lipscomb.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious to know when his music maybe crept into your life. We were actually listening to one of the original recordings of it a little while ago before you arrived. There's that wonderful kind of spoken word bit that he has at the beginning.
Oh yeah. He talks about the.
But
the
yeah, when was
Titanic
the first time you heard that tune?
It's hard to say. I mean, I listened to a lot of that stuff kind of early on early in my 20s. So I really like latched on to Mance Lipscomb's playing, like that really, he's got this incredibly like driving bass thing that he does, like this thunky, like the low end is like really just this machine, like
the
driving
bass player,
thing.
just here.
Yeah. I love that. I can't even like try and play like that, but that's something that I was like, man, that's so cool. And his voice is so unique, and his style is really unique. So I wanted to listen to tons of it, and then I tried to learn a few things just to kind of see what he was up to on the guitar. So
Cool, man.
yeah.
Well, on that note, I think it's probably time for some music.
Yeah.
That's cool. If you'd be kind enough to introduce your performance.
Certainly. I'm Tyler Ramsey, and this is my version of Mance Lipscomb's The Titanic.
Subscribe to The Blues Kitchen for live performances and interviews with the hottest blues, soul, country and roots musicians in the world today.